Right, Guru Readings, everybody, and welcome to another video where today we're going to be talking about a request comment that I ended up getting recently. This one, I've been meaning to kind of do a little bit of a talk about this, but at the same time, well, I guess I'll answer it soon enough by talking about why I haven't done it. But for this video, someone asked, what is the current meta teams gear setups? I have no clue how to build my teams. Altema site or whatever doesn't show team setups and gear setups. And that's going to be the first thing that I'm going to talk about in this video. Altema. Altema is pure garbage. I hate the website. I pretty much have never been incredibly fond of it, but more recently, I absolutely detest it. The number of intrusive and borderline just potentially virus-based ads that website seems, regardless of what browser you use or ad blockers or anything like that, it is absolutely awful. To everybody out there who watches my videos, avoid Altema like the plague. There just isn't anything really of that much value anymore. Altema. So I'm just going to say that right away at the start. Next up, let's talk about the website that I do recommend is this one. This website is called Game 8. You can search it by just typing in Game 8 and Wotv. You can also use it later, like I am currently right now. If you want to see, this is what the website looks otherwise. This is the Japanese. This is a Japanese-based website, but I do use it for a lot of material that I'm interested in conjunction. That's the word, with Wotv Calc, and that works out really well for me. Now, like I said, you can translate it, and they do have strongest character ranking and strongest pretty ranking. Now, the pretty rankings that I'm going to show off here, here's the next point of detail that I need to talk about, is that they haven't changed. They really haven't changed. More recently, I've done things on Guild Battle and basically Yuna stonewalling out a bunch of other teams. I haven't heard any updates about that, and that's probably because the more recent updates for new characters and vision cards up until Final Fantasy V. That is when this video is being recorded. Final Fantasy V comes out tomorrow. There hasn't been any changes. There really haven't been. Venera showing up on JP made zero difference in anything. Basically everything is in pretty much the exact same spot as the fact of where it was before. So with that being said, let me show you a little bit of Game 8, what is considered to be a really good team, and well, especially if you have a bunch of resources. Also, I turned off HDR for the recording of this video. You're welcome. All right, so first, the top teams on JP are basically Exia, Gravel Slider, which is not the correct translation. If you do Google Translate, it just doesn't understand about it. And Luthiel. Yeah, Ruthiel. Let's go with Ruthiel. You can see the picture. You know who I'm talking about. This is considered to be one of the generally best teams in the game right now. Now, before anybody out comes into the comment section and types, well, I can beat this team with, but we don't care. I'm just going to say that because this is just overall generally what is agreed upon by the data that they have and the overall performance, and it is not constantly updated because of map changes or whatnot. This is just generally what is agreed upon. Second is Earth Evasion, which is of course including the ever famous 10-2 character Backpack, Ash King, and Ketone. And then last but not least, Chasing Yuna, which not as good as Chasing Amy. Actually, if you ever want to go watch that movie, that is still a pretty good movie. Not as good as Dogma, though. I really like Dogma. I mean, I honestly think that, oh boy, Kevin Smith, I remember the directors. I honestly think that Kevin Smith had matured quite a bit over the course of his film career. Oh, but we're talking about team, of course. I mean, like, I gotta do this with a little bit. The point being that, like, Yuna, AC, Cloud, and changes to these teams, one placement change of a single character will decrease the overall performance a lot of it. Unless something has been incredibly missed, but mostly at this point, a lot of stuff has been generally. The key takeaway here are the top characters that you see. Ruthiel is overall considered to be one of the better characters, and a consideration is almost certainly the fact that Ruthiel is available as opposed to Summer Resnick, but with the decrease in Sephiroth, Ruthiel has kind of picked up in is. That's essentially it. So let's take a look through some other ones. I apologize for any bad translation. So, taking a look at tier 2, you have shooting parties with, yeah, I knew that was going to show up. Ice-based parties, Ice plus Exia. There she is again. AC Sephiroth, Shrek, and base parties. And these are all still really, really good. Tier 2 parties are absolutely considered to be really, really good base parties. And then we have tier 3, which is considered lower, but still competitive, still overall. Now, when you go into this website, you'll get basically a explanation, which if you don't speak Japanese, you'll have to just auto-translate and just trust that you'll generally get the correct thing, and you will see an example of this. Now, equipment examples are like guidelines. An actual you should copy and paste this, because number one, you may not have the equipment, you may not have the trust masteries, and you may not have the vision cards. And if that's the case, take a look at a vision card, because there really isn't replacements, given that a lot of the time you're trying to fit jobs together rather than elements now. But if you can find a similar, relatively similar style effect or a BC that matches the type of characters, that's generally a good replacement. In terms of equipment, well, I guess if you don't have certain pieces of equipment maxed, then you just have to choose the next best thing and kind of just suck it up and realize that, well, you either got to get the equipment or get it maxed or do what you got to do to get there. But yeah, these builds that are tier 1 usually do have limited time vision cards that are just not available. And, SOL for trying to figure out when they'll ever come back again. For instance, the Efka card. Just not a very common card. It wasn't super good back then. Obviously, now in the future, we can say, hey, look, it's really good in this tier 1 team, but I don't have a time travel machine, so I'm not going back and changing the video, and even then, I still do it. It's just, VCs are useless until they actually find a use, and then bully for you for getting lucky. So not really too terribly much to say there, but I mean, if you're looking this is a really good idea of how to build things early, minus the meta that you are going for. Reason why Sadali has equipment like this and Exia has equipment like this is because they are responding to what is currently a problem in meta, is evasion or status effect. That is why this equipment is chosen. Trust masteries are chosen for specific effects as well. There are probably more overlap in trust masteries at this point, but still, some things like, for instance, this one, which if you click on it, it will give you some information as to what it is, the air ornament. You can also figure out, what quality it is, general stats, and effect. And you can also figure out where to get it from. So it's like from ketone, which is not super helpful, but if you can figure out, what the effect that you're getting off, less likely to be targeted, reduces AP consumption, and you can find most of those things in another piece of equipment But even then, your Trust Mastery and TMR stones will depend basically on what this is essentially trying to do, which is tough it out, deal magic damage, and potentially go over accuracy. But that is essentially a general look at something about how to use this read, rather than just what is actually. And again, this is a fairly stagnant page. I know that it has been updated a couple of times recently as of December 22nd, but a key point in talking about how often this website is updated, it's mostly when a character actually causes shit. Just hasn't happened that much. Look at Earth Evasion. If you're trying to build an Earth Evasion team, this is, I think, a little bit more straightforward because your Trust Mastery obviously are going to be anything that pushes your evasion capacity up. But you can see espers, you can see vision cards. Some of these are more important than others. Some of these are more difficult to get the others. And ideas of why you are choosing these characters, why these characters work together. For instance, firepower of above characters is not very strong, so we've added Ashen Mont as an attacker, not only because he can strengthen firepower of the team, but he also can silence it, abnormal help with the evasion game. So yeah, taking a look at that, you can get an idea for what these are. Now, also tier 1 unit with Pursuer. This one, I mean, again, certain vision cards like the gear or equipment, you can basically do it, and there are replacements for characters. It's just that as soon as you replace, the overall performance is probably. When you get into tier 2, there is still this kind of helpful guide to help look for it. So, I mean, I will put the website link in the description for this video. But if you are looking for this, again, this is not a fix everything. You still have to think about what your team is essentially trying to do. And that should generally dictate about where your Trust Master should be directed towards, what kind of effects you should be looking for. You should almost certainly be hunting specific teams right now. If you're going into Arena, a lot of the times, I mean, people will debate whether it's bonus units or not, because bonus units a lot require you to almost run entirely. And this web page will almost certainly just not be helping you with that at all. But then also, if you're just looking at like what the general consensus is of some of the strongest elemental, you can also get a bit of an idea down at the bottom. Overlord Jaden for ice, for example, wind, backpack for earth. It kind of goes in that general sense. But anyway, hopefully it has been helpful to the person who needed this. I mean, this is about as good of a guide as you're going to get, but your results will vary based on what other teams you are facing. Because half of the idea is how to build a team properly. The other half of the battle is choosing what teams you should be fighting against. And, you know, realizing that in any inherent PvP game, and I think this is a major takeaway from this video, in any inherent game, someone is always programmed to lose. So if you are averaging, like if we look at it in terms of like a card game, where if your card deck is averaging about a 60% win ratio, you're probably on the good side. But the music has run out. I have run out of things to talk about. So thanks so much for watching this video. Have a great holidays, and keep an eye. If we do see any major updates, of course, I will talk about those team compositions in the future. But, you know, Venera was pretty whelming in terms of. So that's all for now. Take care. See you later.